There's not a lot of coastal towns and settlements because the island was so frequently invaded. Home to one of the most expensive coasts in Europe.
Sardinia, named after sardines. No, it's actually the opposite.
Good morning. Hello from Sardinia. We are in Cagliari. We're currently on the Bastion St Remy, which is the neoclassical structure built in the 19th century, and it's named after the Baron of St Remy. So this is where the kind of title of the structure comes from. And it's not that old, but actually the structure is built on the ancient city walls, and it's become kind of part of Cagliari's kind of history and kind of the image of Cagliari. And Sardinia as an island actually stretches back to Neolithic times. It was frequently invaded by people like the Phoenicians, the Romans, and in terms of the island, there's not a lot of coastal towns and settlements because the island was so frequently invaded that what would happen is the natives would, or the locals would flee inwards when they were invaded. So Cagliari was not always part of Italy. It wasn't reunited as part of Italy until 1861. Oh, it's a lot of stairs and it's very, very hot. But this is one of the many kind of beautiful structures here in Cagliari, and it's frequently overlooked as a city because, you know, Italy's such a big place and this is so far from the mainland that, you know, when people go to Italy, you know, they go to Rome, they go to Venice, they go to Sicily, they go to Milan, you know, all within on the mainland, so you can travel quite frequently in between. But this being so far from the mainland, you know, it's frequently overlooked. People come here mainly for the beaches, which are some of the best in Europe. The water is absolutely crystal clear. Oh, really?
Yeah, normal conditions.
Yeah. Alright, we're now walking into the narrow streets, and they call this area Il Castello, which means
Castle?
the castle, this area. So this is the old town. It's amazing how many of these structures still exist, considering how heavily bombed parts of Sardinia were. In particular, Cagliari was heavily bombed during the war. Italy, unfortunately, were on initially the wrong side of the war and were bombed quite heavily by the British. But this particular raid, 404 bombs were dropped on Cagliari, and the population of 100,000 had actually only 10,000 of the population still living in Cagliari. Most of the population had actually left their city because the city was being so heavily bombed and targeted. And it wasn't until the treaty was signed with the Allies that the residents of Cagliari returned. And they say 70% of the city cultural heritage was damaged. This is kind of the tour of Old Town. We've got a local here.
No,
We've got a local. We found a local. Her name is Julie. She's going to give us some insight of the area. Go on.
No, not give it insight.
So many colours, so many bright colours. It's definitely one of the more beautiful cities in Europe, or has one of the more beautiful old towns, I would say. Il Castello, what does that mean, Julia? What does Osteria mean?
Yeah, it's just a place where you eat and drink. It's closed, as you see. Most places here are actually open only for dinner, after 7 p.m.
Right. Beautiful thing about this old town is there's a lot of old archways. Beautiful archways. Someone doing their washing down there. Or they're drying their clothes down there. Alright, and then up there, Cathedral of Santa Maria.
Santa Maria Assunta, Santa Cecilia.
All the colours here. You've got this browny fading orange. And you've got the pink and cream building, and then you've got the beautiful cathedral up here. Right, and here we are, the cathedral. So this structure is actually very, very, very beautiful, but it was built apparently in the 13th century, and it's almost become a bit of a joke because it was actually a bit of a renovation disaster, because when they tried to renovate it two centuries on, they tore off the roof expecting to find the original Romanesque building underneath, and they discovered nothing, and it had actually been destroyed. So what they did is they put a Romanesque structure on top, and that's kind of what this modern design is about. And on the left you've got the original structure and the original bricks, so you can see the difference there. It doesn't take away from it that it's absolutely stunning and beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful structures, I think, in Cagliari.
That's what we call the Duomo of Cagliari, so like the main church.
You call this the Duomo?
Duomo, you know, Duomo, like Duomo. Usually every city's got Duomo.
Right, okay, that's interesting. If you ask any European and you ask them to pronounce this place, and especially the English, they'd say Cagliari, which is absolutely wrong.
Cagliari.
Cagliari, where the GLI is actually a L. So I find it very hard to pronounce, which is why when I say it, I sound stupid. So just bear that in mind. I don't work for her, work for him.
You work only for yourself.
This is the crypt. We're going down into the crypt now.
Everyone keeps asking, is Sardinia named after sardines? No, it's actually the opposite. So, because there used to be a lot of sardines around this area, apparently, many years ago, and that's why they call the sardines Sardinia, because they were in this sea around the island.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any anymore, or not. Other regions in Italy, you won't see as many flags as in Sardinia. So in Sardinia, if you walk around, how many flags have you seen?
In Sardinia, you see the Sardinian flag everywhere. You see the Italian flag once in a while, which is one down there, but it's much more rare.
It's printed on hats, it's printed on t-shirts, it's printed on towels for the beach.
Sardinia has its own autonomy in comparison to Italy, in the sense that it has its own police and other services. I think you get the feeling when you're in the region of Sardinia that everyone's proud of their autonomy of Italy. But the flag is the St George's cross, similar to the English flag. This is probably why I like it so much. And then it's got 4 black figures, 4 heads on it.
It's 4 dark men.
4 dark men. And of course...
They're called Quattro Mori in Italian.
They're called Quattro Mori. Right. And apparently it dates back to the Crown of Aragon and the 4 Moorish kings that the Crown of Aragon defeated.
Mori means Moorish.
Right.
So it's 4 Moorish.
Right, so it's the 4 Moorish kings the Crown of Aragon defeated. And the Crown of Aragon used to... Sardinia used to be under the Crown of Aragon, which was based in Spain, near the Catalan kind of region, which is why Catalan has a lot of similarities to the Sardinian language. But Sardinian apparently is the closest to Latin.
It's mostly to a dialect that is spoken around Alghero.
Alghero. Do you think that?
Because Sardinia being a language has got different dialects.
Right.
So you can say Sardinia is a dialect of Italian. It's its own language, so it's got its own dialect around the island. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Do you think
should walk there.
Yeah. Do you think that if you went to Catalan, or Catalonia, do you think you would understand? Do you think you would understand some of the Catalonian?
I can understand a bit, but I wouldn't say it's not that you're fluent. Also, because I'm not 100% fluent in Sardinian. I understand Sardinia, but I can't really speak it myself.
Right. It's mainly Italian spoken everywhere, apart from.
Yeah. No, you speak Italian everywhere, but if
the
you
older
go to
folk.
villages or where the mountains are in the, what's it called, like in the interior part of the island, then they would speak Sardinian, but it's mainly old people.
This is the ancient walls here of Sardinia. They used to keep the city safe from all the invaders. It's incredible. The amazing thing about Sardinia is because it's such an overlooked island, the other thing people don't realise is how big the island is. And it's the second biggest island in the Mediterranean, aside from Sicily. Sicily is the biggest island in the Mediterranean. Sardinia is in second place. Clearly the climate, the weather and the food is doing something right for the people, because it's one of the highest rate, oldest populations in the world that live frequently over to 100 years old, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Home to one of the most expensive coasts in Europe, which is Costa Esmeralda. Is that how you pronounce it?
Costa Smeralda.
Costa Smeralda.
Yeah.
And Sardinia, right? Sheep outnumber the population nearly 2 to 1 here, which is mental. So you can imagine how much cheese is produced here, how much pecorino cheese is produced, the sheep's cheese, the famous cheese
that explains
Sardinia.
So much cheese.
There is a lot of cheese here. You'd be surprised. Everyone always thinks France is, the leader of cheese, but actually Italy has tons and tons of cheese. You are always, inundated with cheese, and when you sit down for a meal with the Italians, there's always a lot of cheese.
Start with cheese usually. Yeah, but I was very surprised because he says that in England they eat cheese as a dessert. It's like the end of the meal treat. But here it's just a starter.
It's crazy.
But says he's already full after the starter. Just all the cheese.
It's times like this you'll be glad you've got these high-rise, narrow streets, because it's 40 degrees, is it?
39.
39 degrees. It's hotter than Malaysia and hotter than most of Asia.
And you can feel every single one of them.
Beautiful, beautiful view. Sardinia. Of Cagliari.
Where everything is, that's
Right.
the old hospital.
Right, that's the old hospital over there, is it?
You see, it's the one we always drive through that street.
Mm.
Do you see it now?
Mm.
Just like the uni stuff on the right.
What are these buildings here? Churches, cathedrals.
Elephant Tower.
Elephant Tower. What's it in Sardinia?
Torre dell'Elefante.
Right.
But it's being removed.
Right, it's being renovated.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't go up it.
There's a big problem with Sardinia days. They're renovating everything all the time.
Everything
It's
always
true.
gets renovated in Sardinia, apparently.
And it's temporarily closed.
Here it is.
Yeah.
It's the original buildings.
It's closed for renovation.
Which one's closed for renovation? Which one? This one?
Go down there. They're renovating. Here too, the renovations. Lots of renovation. If you want to go and find some renovations around Europe, you know where to go.
Yeah, Cagliari, the capital of renovation in Europe. So that was a little tour of the old town, Il Castello, Bastion St Remi, the Cathedral, Il Duomo of Cagliari. I think time for a sit down.
Studiare abbastanza storia, quindi studierà. Ma posso drive.